323. I have titled this episode A Tired Father because that is what I am and have been in the last, several weeks. So, you may have noticed, Smurf, why haven't we had a Lola podcast in 2 weeks? To that friend, I will answer you. First, something happened 2 weeks ago. I don't remember what it was. It's been too long. I've had broken sleep since then. And yeah, it just sucked. And needless to say, we weren't able to put out an episode because of some, I don't know, I assume personal life drama on my part. But I missed it, or we were going to try to continue it for a different day. And every time we do that, it always seems to fall apart. But whatever, right? You guys don't care about that. So then what happened next week? Well, next week, we were going to have an episode, and I even had people lined up to do the episode, and everything was good. And then I fell asleep while reading a story to my kids. It was some sort of the pigeon didn't want to ride the bus or something. And I got almost done with it and then realized I was passing out as I was reading because I was like, the pigeon, the fucking pigeon is fucking tired. And, and then I crashed upstairs, woke up the next day to all the podcasters blowing up my phone, where are we recording? And I'm like, oh shit, guys, I'm sorry. So parenting just kicked me square in the nuts. And, everybody who's asked me about it has been pretty cool. And I appreciate, people like, oh, being a parent comes first and whatever. And that's true, it does. But that is literally just, you're reading bedtime stories and they're way too effective. I ASMR'd myself to sleep, which is impressive. So, sorry about that. And, I'll try to do a little better. Like this week, Hash had talked about doing a champion burn episode where we roast a champion, people who play that champion, all sort, in all good fun. And we were going to do that this week. And then something fell through. Hash had it in the work. Oh, hurricane. Like, two people got wrapped up in a hurricane that were going to be on the episode, and their power is flickering, so we can't really have them on the podcast and record reliably. So that episode may come out soon or not. I don't really know for certain. But I'm going to do this instead just so I can push some content because it has been way too long. And I feel like all you guys that are generous enough to support us in Patreon deserve at least this much from me to you because you support us. And I appreciate it. So thank you. And this week's shout out, we got a new Patreon supporter, and we haven't had one of those in a while. So I figured I would just go ahead and jump the gun, and that would be the guy, right? So our new Patreon shout out is I'm gonna butcher this shit, but it's Aru, Areux, and his comment whenever he subscribed was, "I don't actually subscribe for the LOL content. It's the Papa Smurf 50-minute intros." All right, so in your honor, I'm gonna do an intro that lasts probably an eternity, and we're gonna go. I may not even talk about LOL at all today. Who knows? I have the floor, and no one can take it away from me, which is a very dangerous thing in the show. So, yeah, thank you for your support, man. Even it's £8, which I think translates into $11. So that's awesome. We appreciate you. I know that there's an outgoing challenge right now that Hash said, hey, if you donate $20, then you get to pick the champion that we roast, and we'll all put on our best material to incinerate whatever champion that is and the people that play them. So that offer still stands because they have yet to record that episode yet. So if you're interested, pony up, right? Okay, so I wanted to do a bit of a status update about ranked and kind of what the differences I have seen between now and the season and the beginning of the season where everything kind of went to shit. So anybody who followed the podcast knows that. Uh, oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually talking about law. Let me back up. Let's, what did you guys come here for, right? Like long intros where we talk about what the people want to know about, and that is taxidermy. That's what we're gonna. Yeah, this is a taxidermy podcast. Like how to get those lifeless eyes as glassy as possible, and make the coat of the animal look as lustrous and thick, and posing it in a really convincing position so people think, "Oh my God, is that alive?" And then they realize it's not, and thus is the heart of the craft that is taxidermy. And don't let people tell you that just because you're handling dead stuffed animals that you're weird, because that's just not true. Some of the some of the best people I know are taxidermy specialists. And I mean, you should see what they do with deer and loved ones. It's impressive. So, I think I will probably, for a special episode, find somebody to come on and talk about taxidermy for 30 minutes. Really just give you guys your money's worth. If y'all are interested, I can make that a Patreon goal, and we can do an episode purely devoted to what the people want. If that is, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, right? I usually have my fingers on the pulse of what you, as a Lola community, are looking for, and that's corn memes, sex with falcons, and taxidermy. Apparently, is your thing now. So let me know. Am I right? Do I know my audience or what? So, all right. That being said, if you're into it, donate. And if anybody really is into it, I could try to make this happen, but it's gonna take some work. So if I'm interviewing a taxidermist, I'm probably gonna need a significant contribution to the Patreon to make that happen. But pool together and let me know, because I'm gonna end up paying somebody for their time, because there's literally no reason I can talk a taxidermist into coming onto a League of Legends podcast without significant trickery or a financial incentive. So we can make that happen. All right, Patreon, Lola Podcast. Appreciate your support. Thank you, friends. Okay, so, like, what's been happening, right? What goes on in solo queue at the beginning of the season versus now? What's different, right? What's the feel? So I will start off by saying, like, I had no faith whatsoever in Riot to implement changes to make people less toxic. And at the beginning of the season, it was particularly terrible. I have to admit that I think that some of the stuff they are doing are causing people to be less of a douchebag to each other. And I mean, while there's still a good amount of douchebaggery, it's less uh like some of the like game ruining behavior seems less. I mean, granted, yeah, people still lose and they lose hard, but like I don't see as much running it down as I used to see. Maybe I'm just getting lucky or I've hit a string of lucky games, but like when I did the Poppy challenge, yeah, I was talking to Ponderous about that because we were talking about how I have absolutely destroyed my elo and ability to climb with the Poppy challenge because I put in like a 40% or 40 something percent win rate on Poppy over like 40 games, and it like plummeted my elo. And I talked to him about that, and he's like, "Oh, why'd you do that on your main?" And I go, you know, if you look at the games, if I just took out the games that my team went mental boom and decided, like literally decided to lose the game, of those 40 games, I could swing 8 of those games. Like if I just take those games and I throw those games out, like not even consider them, right? Just 8 losses are gone. And I'm not converting them into wins. Like, because I don't, some of those games we were not going to win. You know what I mean? But like, they were winnable games that toxic teams chose to lose. So if I take those games and I just trash can them, don't count it as a win, don't count it as a loss, I'm probably at around a 55% win rate. Because an 8 game swing on 40 is significant. I mean, that's like 20% of the games played were decided by toxicity. It sucks. And, he's like, oh, that's a good point. And so I've been like, I hit a series of like melancholy and bad decisions where I seem to be like failing, but not of my own volition, right? Like, I was failing, but I was playing well. I was the performing player on a losing team. And that feels awful. Like, it just feels like it's like a hopeless feeling. But like, if you're playing well, that shouldn't bother you, but you're a human, so it does. And like it creates this kind of like feeling of powerlessness or feeling that you need to change something, right? And so I thought, you know what? This may be it. This may be the breaking point that I have with League where I finally just I'm going to be mid, or this is my breaking point where I just roll like Jinsos was having some like he was playing Phil on his Smurf account and got to gold too, and I was like, maybe I just need to do something like that, like experience the game from different angles. I surely wouldn't be that bad at like jungle or whatever. Like I give it a shot, right? Like that's the thing that I apparently need to do is just shake it up. And I lost a whole bunch of games in a row doing that. So apparently not. But like in some of those games I performed well, other games I performed abysmally bad. It wasn't it was everything was just a roll of the dice and I felt like I was losing those dice rolls. That pissed me off to a degree that I ended up like anger queuing. And that's never a good thing to do. Like once you get to a point where you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling like you can't do anything, it's time to stop and just put the control down, do something else productive, come back to League, when you're ready. And that's cool. Like I got into a very negative headspace. In fact, I got into a headspace where I actually legitimately considered just quitting and being done and saying, you know what? It's been a good run. Played the game for as long as I played it for. I don't like the direction the game is taking. And by the way, that is true. Like I don't really like the direction that the game is taking, and I haven't for a while. But that doesn't. I'm also not one to be like the game is unplayable. Yee! Like it's not. It's the game's still fun. I wish they would have taken it a whole bunch of different directions and emphasized some things like solo carryability and minimize some things like bounties, and this objective bounties thing has me worried because I don't particularly like a competitive game having 100 blue shells in it, but whatever. I guess that's neither here nor there, I suppose. But anyway, um, I got to a point where I'm just like feeling like maybe the game's just passed me by. Like maybe the best days are behind and I need to be done with it. And it's just feeling done, like ran down. I wasn't sleeping super well. I have a newborn, or, well, not a newborn, but he's like 5 months old in like a week. And so I've got a young baby. My kids have started school. I'm having to wake up earlier. I'm not sleeping as well. And my job heated up, like a whole bunch of other crap going on that has been irritating, and I just felt like something kind of had to give, right? Well, Um, that's not a good headspace, obviously, to play League in. It's definitely not a good headspace to succeed at League in. And so my rank plummeted from like gold one something to like what gold three something, which is, I mean, terrible for me. Not terrible. I mean, it's better than the average player, but terrible for me, who, like I said, I was D2 or like in promos to D2 when D5 was a thing. That was my peak. And now I'm like struggling to get out of plat because I fucked myself with this poppy challenge. But anyway, even still, like, I thought I could, I still think I could do it. So I was like, you know what I want to do? Like, I looked at my stats and I looked at, like, I started to go back to the drawing board and I'm like, what am I going to do? What do I do to make this game fun again? Like, don't give a shit about the results. What do I do to increase my enjoyment and put myself in a good space again? Right? And I looked at, like, oh, let's see what the tier list says, the good supports are right now, so I'm at least playing something of the meta. And I looked and I'm like, holy shit, the meta is like my wheelhouse. It's like Thresh and Blitz and Nautilus. And, I was like, oh, why am I not playing these champions right now? Why am I trying other shit that's just making my life harder when Thrush is the favorite champion in this fucking game? Like, that's the guy I got into support on. So much fun. My best memories of League are of like kick ass Thrush. Okay. When I was in D3, I got paired in a solo queue game against Bunny Fufu. And I played Thresh, and he got put on Karma, and I dominated his Karma with my Thresh, like so many years ago. And he's like one of the best Thresh players in the game at the time on that champion. It was like back when he was the guy that like pioneered the I'm gonna hook you, I'm gonna flash backwards, throw my lantern at max range. They're gonna grab the lantern, I'm gonna end the hook and like pull somebody a football field away to the target, and it's badass. Like that was Bunny Fufu like at his prime. I mean, now he's kind of like, I don't know, fallen off in popularity, or he's just a streamer or whatever. But you know, at the time, I was playing against an LCS player on his defining champion, and I won. And that stuck. Like that was a really fucking cool moment for me. It's like not only did I win the game, but I like won lane. You know, and I was like, huh. And I mean, obviously that doesn't mean I'm like better than him. It's just that was a fucking awesome moment, right? I was like, man, I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel like I'm having those anymore. So why am I doing this, right? And then I was like, well, maybe it's just that I'm not playing shit I enjoy. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play a game of Thresh. Like this is for like 2 seasons, my Thresh win rate has been dog shit. Like 40 something percent win rate or with Thresh. And I'm like, used to have like a 55, 60% win rate with Thresh. Surely I haven't gotten that bad with, what is essentially supposed to be my main champion. I was like, fuck it, it's time. Let's play some Thresh. So I've been playing Thresh, and over the last, like, I don't know, 20 games or so, I think I have about a 60% win rate, and I'm actually enjoying the game again. Like, legitimately enjoying the game again. And so I don't care if I win or lose. I'm having fun playing a champion that I enjoy, and I'm also like seeing that rust fall off, and it's like, oh, like this is the piece I was missing. Like I'm getting good at a champion that I was once kick ass at. That now I'm like, okay, like I'm starting to feel it again. I'm starting to develop muscle memory for shit again. Right? It feels almost like when I used to play Smash and I would like play Sheik or whatever, and then I didn't play Smash for like years because there wasn't really a competitive Smash or and I got to playing Sheik for fun, and I was like, I remember like, and then the muscle memory started coming back, and I started to be able to do cool things, and I'm like, yeah, this is why I like this game. That moment that I just had, like, may have just saved me from just throwing in the towel and being done. Right? Because I mean, I got a lot of things going on in my life. I'm playing golf again. I've got a legal practice, a family of three, like all sorts of shit going on. This is like a time sink that is only good for my enjoyment. Like that's why it's here. Is it's something I can do. I don't have to travel to do it. I can do it at home and still be available, sort of, from my family. And if it's not feeling that, then I don't need to be doing it, right? And so I was about ready to be done. Now I'm actually like, I feel like I'm playing the game again, like it's fun. And, that's so huge, right? Like, and, it's also cool whenever I like get into a post game chat and people are like, "Oh fuck, like we destroyed them, this fucking thrash." Yeah, like feels good. I feel like I'm doing something again. I mean, granted, it's like gold, whatever, and I think I'm back to like pretty high up in gold 2, or maybe I got to gold 1. I don't remember, but I don't think I got to gold 1, but I definitely re-promoted to gold 2. I know that, but it's like one of those things where I feel like we almost like I guess the like the more you know moment of this whole rant is to say like this game can be fucking miserable to play if you're not enjoying what it is you're doing. Right? Like don't chase wins. Chase fun. You're not a professional player. You don't have to. Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe some of you are professional players. I doubt it, but whatever. You're not a professional player. You don't have to win, right? Like, you don't have to win to keep your career. You don't have to ride the line of the meta to keep, you know, to have enjoyment in the game. I mean, sometimes people derive enjoyment from victory. I don't blame you. It's not fun to lose, right? But to win without fun isn't fun either, right? Okay, so I'm gonna do a comparison here. Like I like to play. I got into Magic the Gathering like 4 or 5 years ago, and I had a lot of fun playing Magic with guys. And I went from Standard to Commander, and anybody who's ever played Commander will. It's kind of the eternal. You make a deck, you tweak it every now and then, and whatever. And 100 cards, you have fun. Every game's kind of fresh, whatever, right? But Commander has like power levels that are crazy variant to where like people will talk about, well, is your deck a 5, a 6, a 7, a 10, right? And then there's like competitive air quotes commander, and it's called CEDH. And competitive commander is designed to win turn like 1 to 2, maybe turn 3. And these guys, like, they derive enjoyment from playing the game the quickest and most efficient way possible with the least amount of fucking around. Like, I'm gonna give like card for card I win, right? And to me, the win was less enjoyable when it felt cheap or forced, or I didn't do anything to really get there. There wasn't any setup, right? It was almost as if we're at a table and somebody throws down a picture of like a hot chick, and then we all had to jack off to see who could jack off the fastest. And it's like, did any of us enjoy ourselves in this scenario? It feels stressed and awkward, and awkward eye contact with the dude across the table, and the only thing that matters is that I win, right? And it's just like, why are we even doing this? It's fucking disturbingly gross. You know, it's not fun. Like, you may be getting your W's, but like, ew, why? You know, and like, that's kind of what League felt like to me for a while. Like, I like playing more of a casual commander format where you have like 7, 8, 9 turns. We have a 45, 30-minute game. We all enjoy it. Interactions are had. You know, we move on, right? Like, that's fun. I enjoy that. Winning in like 5 minutes and then reshuffling a 100 card deck, ugh, that kind of sucks. Don't enjoy that. Or enjoy it less. I mean, it has a certain appeal to it, but I don't know that, I don't know, optimized, solved, cheap magic is fun for me. Right? When I say cheap, I mean cheap as in like not cost, because those cards are fucking expensive. Anyway, but all in all, it's about what you enjoy, right? And I'm not trying to dog CDH players or whatever. If you have fun doing that, fine, do it. Sit down at a table of other people who are signed up to do it and have a great time. Cool. Not my cup of tea, but hey, if it's yours, kill it. You know. But that translated to League, I don't honestly see how anybody can have fun in the absence of fun, right? Like the game, it's not solved. I suppose you could pick whatever champ that you can steamroll on and end the game as fast as possible on, but it still requires you to drag 4 other knuckleheads kicking and screaming across the finish line. So I don't I don't know what the goal is. If your goal is really only the W, I don't know. It feels like you're almost like chasing the dragon a bit, right? Like you're never going to catch it, right? Like your success or failure depends as much or more on the performance of 4 other people than it does on your performance. And that's a variable that you don't have control over, right? Like it would feel like I'm competitively dice rolling, right? Like if I get a 4 or above, I win. Like, oh, didn't win. Oh, won. Oh, didn't win. Oh, didn't win. Oh, won. And it's like, how can you get vested in randomness, right? It doesn't feel, I mean, even if you're really good at League and you get a 3 and you win, like, I don't, being vested in the outcome just seems like a fool's game. You know, I don't know, man. Like, but then, okay, I would never enjoy running around a track, but running on a country road doesn't seem so bad. At least I got something to look at. I can enjoy the ride. And it feels like if you're out playing a champion or doing something that you actually enjoy about the game, you're already halfway there, right? Like, and then the other myth is that you're actually going to be good at the flavor of the month just because you play League a lot. Like, flavor of the month, bot lane, right now is like, and has been for a while, is like Ziggs with teleport. I can tell you, if you don't know how to play Ziggs, your Ziggs with teleport sucks. Yes, he does always scale to usefulness because of the way his items work, and you can just build a Leandries and you're always useful, and you can wave clear endlessly. And if you do just that, at what you're strong at, nothing else, yeah, you'll do great. The lane will end. You're going to shove minion wave after minion wave into them. They can't really do much about it. But the people that suck at this strategy, like, you're not good. You're not helping your team. You don't play Ziggs well. You get caught on a champion whose strength is that you can endlessly push, and you have a summoner spell that doesn't help me out at all. Okay. Like, my enjoyment, the purpose that I have in the game, is frustrated by you, and you're not adding anything unless we go to like 30, 40 minutes when you've finally caught up from the deficit you put yourself in because you don't know how to play fucking Ziggs. If you're an ADC, I'd rather you play an ADC if you know how to. Don't pick something because you think it's good. Because 90% of the time, it may be good, but you're not with it, right? Like, it would be madness to be like, I've played the guitar for 17 years and I can lick out some riffs. But, like, guitar isn't popular and flute is. So I'm just going to jam out the same shit that I do on the guitar and the flute. I mean, what's the difference, really? Right? Like, fucking everything is different. You have no fucking clue how to play a flute. You may have seen somebody play it. You may understand that you breathe into it and it's got holes. You don't understand much more than that. You are not a fucking flautist. Fuck! Like, this should be apparent to anybody with half a fucking brain, right? So don't do that shit. But anyway, I guess I'm getting an aside here, but play what you fucking enjoy, right? Like, the game is, I don't know, life is too short not to play anything that you enjoy. And I mean, we've said this before, like, oh, you're gonna play 1,000 games, you might as well play 1,000 games with a character you like. And everybody goes, yeah, sure, man, but if my character sucks, whatever. Like, and I would put a caveat there. Unless your champion is fucking garbage tier, right? If I'm looking at the things and that champion has a 40% win rate, pick another champion because you're not doing yourselves any favor by, you know, saddling yourself before the game even starts with a whole bunch of dead weight. Play something that's realistically not a bad pick and then play the fuck out of it if you enjoy it. That's the whole point. So, like, I do actually also want to address the theory that I can pick some off meta shit and have an advantage because people don't know how to play into it. Okay, there is truth to that. Yes, if somebody doesn't know how your kit works, they don't know what your burst is, or they don't know whatever, yeah, you'll have an advantage there. The problem is if you are reliant on anyone else on your team to execute anything that you're trying to do, they don't know what you do either. So that is a very much double-edged sword. And I have found that when I'm playing non-standard supports, like Poppy, for example, I have insane burst. I can prevent them from dashing away. My ADC doesn't know that. They're not positioned, and I can type, I have insane burst. It literally will not matter. They don't know it. They haven't seen it. They don't know how to react to it. And those opportunities are created, and then because the enemy doesn't know, and then slip away because your allies don't know what it is you actually fucking do or can do in the context of, being a support champion or whatever. Whenever I used to play Elise support and I would catch somebody and just go in hard on them, if my ADC didn't contribute that burst, I'm now in on a champion that I've fully bursted and can't do anything else with. And I ain't getting out. Like, that's not cool. That's not fun. I'm probably fucked here. And then it makes the champion look like it doesn't work. And that's not fucking true, right? Okay. Uh, one more thing that, I've talked about it being a double-edged sword. It can also tilt your team faster if they perceive your champion as being less valuable or that it's not a good pick because they get their haunches up before the game even really starts. That, oh, we got this fucking, oh, we got a fucking Poppy support or we got whatever. Fuck this game. And I think that is a huge contributor to toxicity. Because, like, when I've been playing Thresh, I mean, granted, I'm better at Thresh, but, I still had some fuck up games. But whenever I was playing Thresh, even if I did poorly, people were not as instantly toxic as like the first time I died with Poppy. Like I could be 3-1 and they'd be like, this piece of shit Poppy, fucking 3-1 dumbass, like blah blah blah, because they don't like the champion. They don't understand what it is I'm supposed to do or why I would even pick it. Those kind of off meta supports or off meta anything is a total double-edged sword, because the first fuck up to even get them to give you the eyebrow raise and a nod, you have to kill it. Right? It's not like you can go even and they're like, "Oh, I'm glad I had that guy on my team." You have to crush it before they even acknowledge you. But the first time you fuck up, you're public enemy number 1. And like I've done off meta support episodes before and like which ones can be good, and I still think that that is true, that off meta supports can absolutely be good, and some of them are very good, particularly situationally. But if you're gonna do it in a fives. Like, do it with a team that you're communicating with that's not gonna tilt because you pick something that they don't understand. Like, taking off meta shit into solo queue is just asking for an emotional shutdown. Like, you just can't count on edgy teens to not be edgy. It's stupid. You know, that like counting on the, I don't know, emotional maturity of the average league player is a losing bet. And yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. So I have seen a massive change in toxicity. I'm wondering how much of it is that I'm not playing an off meta support and how much of it is that Riot actually addressed it with some of their like banning practices. I actually wonder what the difference is. And I bet you by the end of the year, we're going to see some end of year report statistic from Riot talking about the like massive reduction in toxicity that they're seeing across the board, and look at all of our data and see we finally addressed the problem. And I maybe they did. Because I'll notice that in this quarter, it's far down from where it was. So, all right, props to them, I guess. So, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna ride out Thresh for about the rest of the season, and I mean, unless it's just like a horrible pick into the team or whatever. But like, I mean, shit, I had a game where I played Taric, which, by the way, I think Taric is sleeper OP. I'll go on the record of saying that is a very good fucking champion, and nobody knows what his. Everybody knows what his kit does. They're like, oh yeah, his Q heals, his W gives a little shield, and it puts like it doubles the abilities onto the person you've linked it to, and they get that. And E is a targeted line stun that goes off you and the your marked ally or whatever from W. Cool, they get all that. But then whenever I tell them that like auto attacking after you use an ability reduces your non-ultimate cooldowns and whatnot, and basically, every time after you auto attack, you're going to have another heal up. And then that heal will give you more auto attacks. And then all of your abilities come back up faster. And then you get more heals. And then blah, blah, blah. And like, basically, I can stay in a fight way the fuck longer than you think I can. No, they don't get that. They don't know what his passive fucking does. And so they abandon you in a team fight way before it's over. And then they look back and they're like, oh, he lived another like 10 seconds. I didn't think, I guess I should have stayed in. Yeah? I mean, it's an off meta support. It's also, I think, really, really good. And I think you'll see in like high elos, I think Taric is actually going to be a thing. And given the meta of like grabby, hooky supports, like Taric's good into that. He can brawl and he can do some damage. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back up the pipe as being a really good champion. But like, uh, I don't know that I'd want to play him right now. Like the last few games I played on him, he felt really good. I felt strong. I felt like I was really making a difference in the game. and I would do like a stun or do a ult on. I had a Yi, and he kept alpha striking during my ult, and it caused the ult to miss him. So he would come out of alpha strike not invincible, or he would get invincible and immediately alpha strike to burn a full second of invincibility before he had to. Right? And it's just like, dude, I am letting you literally decimate their team. All you have to do is not play it like a drooling idiot. But people don't know how the kit works. And that is probably the biggest impediment to off meta anything. Everybody knows how Thresh works. God, I hope so. Everybody knows how Blitzcrank works. Everybody knows how, like Karma works. Like, these champions are not Lulu. It's not a mystery. We know how it works. Um, but like, if you think you're gonna really like smash up the masses doing off meta shit, you better do it in a solo lane. And even then, you better fucking crush with it. Because if you don't, your team will lose faith super fast. And there's nothing more fatal to an outcome than a team that loses the faith. So I think that's probably, I mean, this is not a full hour. Usually I monologue for a full hour, but I feel like that's a great place to end it. And we may have another bonus episode this week if Hash can get the people in. And, I think they're going to try to record it a little later. But again, we all know how that goes. So, depending on if the hurricane lets Stove have power or whatever, we may be able to get this thing off the ground in the next couple of days. And I hope we can. Because, like, I've wanted to produce the podcast for the show. It's just, or the content for the show, but fuck, man. I'll be damned if I've had even a moment to breathe on this shit. But thank you guys for your support. I appreciate it. If I had more energy, I would tell funny stories because I've got some and I'm saving them for another day. But shit, if you don't believe me, go look at the YouTube and look at my sad, red, bloodshot, tired ass eyes. And then you're going to say, like, dude, get some sleep. So I'm going to take your advice, listeners, and pass the fuck out. Good night, everybody.